Hi guys, this is Steve from the Dice Cup in Nottingham and I'm going to show you how to play Patchwork, a two-player game by Uwe Rosenberg that plays in about 20 to 30 minutes. This is how you set Patchwork up. In Patchwork you're going to be building a quilt or sewing a quilt onto your board here. You put all the quilt pieces that you're going to buy round the edge, and you have a time track over here which is going to show you how long the game lasts and indicate whose turn it is at any given point. What's going to happen, also you're going to place this player piece after the smallest piece there is round the edge of the board, say 2 by 1 piece, and on your turn you're going to be able to buy the next 3 pieces of quilt that are round in a clockwise direction. It is green's turn because green is on top. If green was in front of yellow, it would be yellow's turn. In fact, it's whoever's behind on the time track gets to go first. So in this case, green's going to go first, and green may buy one of the next 3 bits around the circle. Green's going to buy this piece here, and this piece is going to cost green 1 button, and it's going to take green 3 times on the time track to sew onto his board. The currency of the game's in buttons. Green would pay 1 button into the supply, and green would put this, add it onto his board wherever he would like to do it. Once he's put it down, he may no longer change it. The player piece would move to where green has just bought their piece of quilt, and on yellow's turn, sorry, forgot, green needs to move 3 on the time track, so green is now 3 spaces further on here. It is now yellow's turn, and yellow may buy one of the next 3 pieces. Yellow's going to buy this piece here. This piece is going to cost yellow 4 buttons and 2 time, and it has on it a button. Now buttons are valuable as the game goes on. I'll show you why that's the case. But yellow's going to buy this, going to put it on yellow's board. It's going to cost yellow 4 buttons and 2 time. So yellow will go there. If you look at the time track now, yellow is still behind green, so it's going to be yellow's turn now. Yellow's going to go here, but yellow can't afford any of the next 3 pieces of quilt. So the other thing you can do on your turn, rather than buy a piece of quilt, is you may jump your piece 1 space ahead of the other person's piece, and you get 1 button for every space you've moved. So yellow's going to move from 1 behind green, 1, 2, to 1 ahead of green, and yellow's going to take 2 buttons. It's now green's turn, and you would do that they're the only 2 things you can do on your turn. You may buy a piece, or you may jump ahead of your opponent. If you notice on the time track, there are buttons at various intervals, about every 6 or 7 squares around the board. Every time you pass a button on the time track, you're going to get income from all the pieces of your quilt that have a button on it. So next time yellow passes this button piece on the time track, yellow would receive 1 button because on his player board he has 1 button. If you manage to get the expensive bits here, well this one costs you 10 buttons to buy, costs you 5 times, but every time you pass a button icon you're going to get 3 buttons for this piece. So some of the more expensive pieces give you more buttons as you pass them, however they do take a lot of time up and a lot of space on your board. They're quite awkward pieces to place. There are 2 other bits I'm going to tell you about, and they both relate to this time board here. One piece is this here. It's the first person to complete a 7 by 7 grid on their quilt will get 7 instant buttons. They will take this tile to say they've done it, and they will get 7 buttons or 7 points towards the end of the game. The other thing there is, on the player board there are these individual squares. The first person to pass gets to place one of these squares on their board. Say for example green was ahead of yellow and green passed this first. Green would take this and green would instantly add that to their board, which will help fill awkward spaces that can't be filled by any of the other pieces. You would continue to do this until both people get to the end square. Once yellow gets to the end square, green may continue to keep going round, and when green gets to the end square you would score up. This score will determine the following. It's going to be all the buttons you've earned during the game. At the end of the game you count however many buttons you have in your stock, and you would subtract 1 button for every square that is left blank on your board. So it is a mixture of, do I want to get pieces with buttons on it which cost me a lot of buttons to do, but every time I go past them I get buttons? Do I want to try and get the big pieces, the very big pieces? So this particular piece here is very big, it only costs 5 buttons, doesn't get you many buttons in return, it doesn't cost you much time, but it will mean at the end of the game I don't have many empty spaces left on my board. That's going to detract from my score. That's how to play Patchwork by Uwe Rosenberg. This has been Steve from the Dice Cup in Nottingham. Thank you very much.